Every day, you use your hands in more ways than you possibly realize. For tasks that are essential to life, for fun, for friendship, for work, to connect, to provide, to lift, shift, operate, organize, to share. You need your hands, and therefore you need to do everything you can to protect them from injury. Think about your hands as one of your most precious and amazing resources. There are 27 separate bones in the hand and wrist, with cartilage to absorb shock for smooth movement, and they're held together by ligaments. Nerves carry signals to our muscles and tendons to make them move our arms, hands, fingers, and thumbs. These nerves also carry signals back to the brain about sensations such as touch, pain, and temperature. The hand is a complex piece of natural engineering. Our hands are flexible and versatile. If you've had an injury to your fingers or hand, you will know how difficult it can be to complete the simplest task. Hand injuries can change your whole way of life. It's a natural instinct to reach out to guide a load that's moving, but that's when hand and finger injuries can happen. Our aim is to eliminate the risk of hand and finger injury to personnel from pinch points and crush zones. We want you to think and act hands-off loads whenever possible. There are tools and techniques for lifting and handling loads that will help you avoid making direct contact. With any lift, it's the initial lift-off and then the landing when special care is needed. To help ensure lifting operations are performed safely, the lift supervisor or banksman must stand back and have a complete 360-degree oversight of the operation and intervene when any unsafe practices or hazards are observed. Effective supervision is crucial to safe lifting operations. At liftoff, when a hoist or crane takes the strain, the load develops stored energy. If the hoist or rigging fails or snags, the load can rotate, swing, or even topple. When landing, the stop-start motion can make the load swing, bounce, or topple. It can also cause the strops or rigging to slip, and if the landing position isn't clear, this can cause the load to be unsteady. Most incidents happen during the lift when a load is on the move and there are people nearby. So always make sure you keep well clear when any equipment has stored energy. Remember, it could be electric, hydraulic, or pneumatic. And you should always be aware of the load and the potential for moving parts which could entangle, nip, trap, impact, crush, or eject components once moving and energized. Remember, any hoisted or moving load is a load with stored energy. Once the load is connected to a mechanical lifting device, personnel should not touch the load with their hands, feet, or any part of the body while the load is being lifted or before the load is properly set down and any potential energy has been released. While safe hands lifting tools should be your routine way of working, there may be certain tasks which require hands-on for final positioning. But these should be treated as exceptions to the norm and as such will be fully addressed in the risk assessment process, paying special attention to the risk of injury to fingers and hands, identifying potential pinch points and crush zones. As a minimum, the load must not be touched until it's below waist height, and manual load handling must never be used to stop or steady a swinging load. You should always attend the toolbox talk. A task will always be safer when everyone involved understands the hazards, and you have discussed the risks and the best way to handle the load. The team should be competent to deliver the task, and everyone should know the required PPE, including what type of gloves to wear. Have you considered the weight, size, and the shape of the load? Does the load have any parts or components that could move during the slinging or lift process? Have you identified and discussed any potential pinch points, crush and entrapment zones? What load handling tools are there available, and which are best suited to the load, conditions and surroundings? If the pre-lift risk assessment concludes that direct hands-on contact is unavoidable, you must discuss and agree suitable controls. Once you have answered these questions, you will be able to select the correct handling tools for the job. When lifting, carrying, or handling any equipment or movable objects, always follow your manual handling training. When there are handles, you must use them, and remember to check they are securely fitted, in good condition, with no sharp edges. Consider the size of the handles. Are they the right size for clearance? Think about your surroundings and be spatially aware. If there are no fixed handles as part of the design, consider using a suitable handling tool. There are special tools for handling cylinders and tools that will keep hands and fingers further away from pinch points. If in any doubt when or how to use these tools, ask your supervisor. There are also a wide range of hands-free lifting tools available to ensure you are equipped for safe hands lifting. This helps prevent putting your hands in the line of fire, including taglines, guide poles, magnets, and liftmate aids. Now, let's look at taglines and guide poles and when and how to use them. You should consider using taglines when loads are light and could be affected by the wind. Loads are long and may rotate. Loads have large surface areas that could move in the wind. Loads that need to be positioned into tight spaces. And when load movement or rotation may cause a hazardous condition. Taglines are usually used in pairs. They should be single length with no knots, in good condition, connected to the load, not the rigging, the correct length for the load being lifted, and long enough to keep you at a safe distance. If more than one person is holding the same tagline, they should all be on the same side of the line. Ensure your travel path is clear and the conditions are safe before the load is suspended. It is important that areas around the lift are tidy and clear of any obstructions. Do not position yourself where you could be trapped, and always ensure you have a means of escape. If you must, you should release the tagline to avoid becoming trapped or pinched. Never stand in a coil or the bight of a rope, or wrap the tagline around your body or hands. Use a single grip so the tagline can run through your hands. Make sure you have the correct gloves on. Use the right grip, watch your feet on any excess line, and don't tie the tagline to any equipment or structures. Guide poles should be used during lifting and setting down loads during lifting operations to protect your hands. They have a hook at one end and a pad made of leather or rubber at the other. Use them to catch the tagline as the load lowers. You can also use poles to maneuver a load by pushing or pulling it into place, keeping hands and fingers well away from any potential pinch points. There must be good communication between the lift party. Guide push-pull poles should be held by both hands at the recommended points. That is, one hand on the forward grip and the other on the rear hand grip. You should adopt a good stance and ensure the guide pole is being held in a manner that will not cause personal injury. If you need to retrieve taglines hanging down vertically from a load, you should always use boat hooks or guide poles. Remember to consider where the load could land if the boom hoist or winch failed, and think about how the load might behave if there was a sudden wave or change in the weather. You must think about your position and never put yourself between the load and any solid surroundings, such as a container or bulkhead. Think about your access and egress. Do you have an escape route? Don't put yourself in the line of fire, and never get into a position where you end up under the load. Before work commences, check taglines, handling straps, guide poles, and handles to ensure they are in good condition. Any faulty equipment should be reported and quarantined. Always check surfaces for sharp edges or aspects that could cause pressure points when hoisting or lifting the load. Confirm the weight of the load. Ensure taglines are strong enough for the task, positioned correctly, and that the load is balanced. Only people involved in the task should be in the work area, and barriers should be in place. Is the deck clear of trip hazards? Is there a clear escape route? Remember, if worksite conditions change or something new is introduced to the task partway through that's out with the work scope in the original permit, the job should be stopped and the task and risks reassessed. So, by working with a safe hands mindset whenever possible, it's easy to see the benefits. We can significantly reduce crush, entanglement, and hand injuries. And adopting a hands-free way of working also keeps people clear of the potential injury zone for dropped objects and out of the potential swing area. By using taglines and guide poles, you will also benefit from better positioning and a clearer view of the load zone. And better posture when pushing and pulling objects means less strain on the lower back and neck area. By us all adopting a safe hands lifting mindset during lifting and hoisting operations, we can aim to eliminate hand and finger injuries. Think about it. How would losing even the use of one finger affect your everyday life? It would make simple tasks awkward and frustrating. But losing the use of a hand, that's life-changing. Don't let this happen to you. Make safe hands lifting your mindset. And remember the key do's and don'ts. Risk assess the lifting operation and take part in the toolbox talk so you understand the hazards. Check that all identified controls are in place. Always follow your manual handling training. Always use the right safe hands tools for the load. You should never touch loads when they are above waist height, and then only if you have been given permission to do so. PPE is important. Wear the correct gloves. Resist the urge to guide moving loads. They have stored energy and could swing or topple. Always have an escape route. Never put your hands, feet, or any part of your body in the line of fire. Before the lift starts, take a moment for a 20-second scan. And finally, remember, if there's a change of plan or conditions, or you see someone in a dangerous situation, you must always stop the job immediately.